Yeah.
All right. So another friend of the channel, Jay Z.
Yeah.
Uh, what was the name of this award? Now he received. What was this thing called? He received the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award. I think that's what it's called.
Oh
And
wow.
his speech upon receiving this award is making headway because he was citing how Beyonce has not won a Grammy for Album of the Year, despite her esteemed, accomplished career and all of the other various accolades that she's received. So, Jay Z is being talked about because of his acceptance speech upon receiving this award. So,
Mm.
this says Jay Z calls out the Recording Academy and Grammy speech. Jay Z used his speech at the Grammy Awards to get some things off his chest while accepting the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award. So that's what it's called. With his 12-year-old daughter, Blue Ivy, by his side, Jay Z noted that the industry had come a long way since Will Smith and DJ Jazzy Jeff boycotted the Grammys in 1989 over the rap awards not being televised. And then they went to a hotel and watched the Grammys, Jay Z said. I ain't even understand. It wasn't a great boycott. The rapper and entrepreneur said that he too boycotted attending the Grammys in 1998 after DMX not being nominated despite having two successful albums that year. I'm just saying we love y'all, we love y'all, we love y'all, and we want y'all to get it right, Jay-Z said. At least get it close to right. Noting that the voting is subjective, he then brought his wife Beyonce into the conversation. I don't want to embarrass this young lady, but she has more Grammys than anyone and never won Album of the Year, he said of Beyonce. Even by your own metric, that does not work. Think about that. Most Grammys never won Album of the Year. That doesn't work. B became the most awarded artist in Grammys history in 2023 when she earned her Grammy Award for Best Dance Electronic Album, which she won for her celebrated record Renaissance. Beyonce's supporters have long complained she has consistently been shut out of winning the prestigious Album of the Year Grammy. The Recording Academy, the group behind the Grammys, has also long faced criticism for failing to equally recognize women and artists of color, along with alienating rap and hip hop performers in key categories over the years. The group has been working to implement changes to address that since 2020. During his speech Sunday night, Jay Z quipped, "Some of you are going to go home tonight, and I feel like you've been robbed. Some of you may get robbed," he says. "Some of you don't belong in the category." As the audience tittered at that shade, Jay Z said, "When I get nervous, I tell the truth. Outside of what we got to keep showing, outside of that, we got to keep showing up," he said, "and forget the Grammys for a second, just in life. Just keep showing up," he added. "You got to keep showing up until they give you all those accolades you feel you deserve. Until they call you chairman, until they call you a genius, until they call you the greatest of all time. You feel me?" And full disclosure, I didn't watch this. I don't watch the Grammys. I don't watch award shows. Didn't know he was getting this award. Didn't see the speech. Don't care. Um, but yeah, there you have it. So this is being talked about a lot because of those comments that he made about Beyonce, and then about just keep plugging away until they recognize you. So did you peel anything away from that acceptance speech?
Yeah, I mean, I like the whole part where of him basically saying just keep chopping away, and whatever you're chopping away at, so long as you just stay down and respect the game, you should get a reward at the back end. So that's pretty live. I like that. But my thing is, and I applaud him because this is his world. So music, Grammys, this is him and his wife's world. So this is what they care about. And most people who've ever accepted an award from the Grammy, as far as I'm concerned, you know, never really critiqued them at their own ceremony while receiving a Grammy. So I think it was pretty gutsy on his behalf to speak his mind. But this is eerily reminiscent of the 50 situation where it's like, but look at all these other trophies. You missing that one? Um, but they're in that world, so that trophy might mean something to them. So I can see why they would feel like they're being marginalized. But here's my thing, man. When we're dealing with these award ceremonies and all this other stuff, as they said, it is subjective. I don't know who's voting. I don't ever know who's voting for these things. But it took me, early, 90s, man. After watching some of these award shows, because whatever, there's nothing else on TV, and me looking at this stuff, I'm like, hey, man, where's Missy Elliott? That thing go hard. I can't stand the rain go hard. And it's like, they're not gonna have Missy up here. That time they had 3 6 Mafia up there, people brains almost exploded.
Yeah, but I think I also think that the world looked at that as a joke.
It was so
I
minstrel,
think
bro.
that the world, yeah.
It was so
I
minstrel.
think, yeah, it was that was embarrassing to me. Not, I think that the way that they put the way that they showcased them, I think that that was intentional.
Yeah,
Personally,
dude. That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. So you got to see what academy we're dealing with is my point. And it shouldn't be if you can clearly tell you're not being valued, then you shouldn't value their awards. Is my point. So I understand that I understand that this is their world and that they care about this, but I don't think they should care about this because of the perceived marginalization that they feel. And I think it's pretty obvious. And as the article stated, that there's a floating around thing going on with black people and their music, and it not receiving the recognition that they believe that it deserves. And Beyonce is no different. Honestly, the Grammys to me is just a commercial award. Who's the most commercial? Who's doing this? And you don't get no more commercial than Beyonce. So honestly, it should be back to back years between her and Taylor Swift just sweeping the Grammys. And she swept so many, she has the most trophies, but one. So it seemed a little odd if I was in that household, and he felt compelled enough to say something. But to me, I feel as though you know they shouldn't even care. Award shows, like you mentioned, you don't watch them, you don't care for them. I stopped watching and I stopped caring for them because of the subjective voting.
Right.
To me, I'm glad that he said something. At least maybe this may change some things in the committee's minds in the future. But again, if you're in a situation where every time you're standing at the door, waiting for your table, and there's new people who walk through the door and they sit down before you, how often are you going to keep going to that restaurant? And will you and you stand there in front of everybody and say, "Where's my seat? Everybody else got theirs." So I would just, like he said, boycott it. So what are your thoughts on Jay-Z's speech, acceptance speech, Dr. Dre Global Impact? What the hell is that? How do you feel about his speech there?
So not too many people know this, but you know this. Way back in 2015,
Mm,
I started a little website called consciousapproach.com.
that's right.
Long before Conscious Approach was this YouTube channel, it was a blog
Ah,
that no one visited and that no one paid attention to, but it was a passion of mine.
mhm.
And I worked and invested in and spent money on this website. And literally, it would just be the place that I went to kind of put my stuff down somewhere where maybe somehow, some way, maybe a few people might read it from time to time. I try to promote my posts like on Twitter and on social media. Nobody ever looked at it. But this channel started as a blog site. And one of the first things that I wrote and published to that website was an article called Why Hip Hop Struggles for Mainstream Success.
Mm,
And it came out of the wake of certain artists complaining about the Grammys. This was all the way back in 2015. Kanye was complaining about the Grammys. You had all of these people complaining about the Grammys because they felt like the genre wasn't getting the respect that they deserve. And back then, I said to myself, well, I feel like the genre doesn't get the respect that it deserves because historically, the Grammys looks at music a particular kind of way, and that particular kind of way is like not what this culture is. So, the Grammys values things like instrumentation and, you know, um, actual vocals, actual people who can sing. They don't need the assistance of technology to sing, and they don't need synthesizers. And they actually value like bands and people who can actually play the instruments. They can do the bass and the drums and the guitar. Historically, I'm not saying that music is only exclusively that. I'm just saying that the primary tenets upon which the Grammys was founded was based upon this idea that that's what music is.
Mm-hmm.
Rock and roll, jazz, and all of that kind of stuff. Hip hop came along in the 80s for the most part. It's how it rose to prominence. It was around in the late 70s, but it rose to prominence in the 80s well after these various tenets were established.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing was to complain about the Grammys is to not understand this. So if you want to be respected more in terms of the Grammys, you're either going to have to conform to what the Grammys has always perceived to be true music, which is incorporating more orchestrated music into your stuff, more instrumentation, more actual vocals, and all of that kind of stuff. Or you can understand that this is what the Grammys is and just go and create your own award shows and celebrate your art in your own award shows. Now, I largely stand by that opinion, to be honest. But I think nowadays they've made it easier to snub these people because this was back in 2015 when I felt that there was more of an artistic element to hip hop and rap and even R&B. Now I feel personally, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, but I feel like the genre has jumped the shark more in terms of not caring about certain things like instrumentation and
Agreed.
lyrics and principles and actual messages and substances. So it was easier for me to defend it in 2015 than it is for me to defend it now. If I try to defend it now, I can't find myself fixing my face to say Lil Baby deserves a Grammy. Now, now I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of people.
Old head, hater.
Now, I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of people in the community who say that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about and I need to shut my mouth. That the baby deserves Grammys and Lil Baby deserves Grammys and Cardi B deserves Grammys. Megan Thee Stallion deserves Grammys and all of these people deserve Grammys. Personally, I don't see it. I don't see it, but that's just my opinion. But Beyonce to me is different than that. I think she does have a leg to stand on, but this isn't something that's unprecedented. Like I was looking this up and, one of the big things with the Academy Awards, because I feel like people complain about the Oscars and the Grammys. I feel like the Grammys are kind of looked at along the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the same wavelength. They complain about the Oscars and they complain about the Grammys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this was going on in the Grammys too. Not in the Grammys. I feel like this was going on in the Oscars with Leonardo DiCaprio. Because I went and I looked this up, and it's like every time this guy was nominated for Best Oscar, he would lose. And it was like, why does this guy keep losing when he has all of these nominations? He's in all of these gangsta ass movies. He's like a top notch actor, yet he keeps losing. What the hell is the deal? Sometimes the shit just happens like that. And apparently, so I had to go back and kind of look to make sure that I was fact checking myself correctly. But it's DiCaprio was nominated for an Oscar 5 times before he finally won one. This is a dude who was in Oscar nominated performances for years and years. He didn't win until 2016 for The Revenant. But leading up to that, he had lost after being nominated for What's Eating Gilbert Grape, The Aviator, Blood Diamond, and The Wolf of Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street was a gangsta ass movie.
She was fired.
So these kinds of things happen. I'm not trying to say that Jay-Z's wrong. He should defend Beyonce. She has her legions of zombie fans. Go for it. She has a storied career. She's done a lot. She's accomplished a lot. I got no shade to throw at Beyonce's way, but these things just tend to happen sometimes these institutions are subjective, they are not objective, and they just tend to operate this way. I think we might be looking at a situation where Beyonce, by hook or by crook, is the Grammys equivalent of Leonardo DiCaprio before he finally won one. And, if it makes Beyonce or Jay-Z feel any better, I don't think Beyonce winning a Grammy or lack thereof is an indication of how celebrated or respected she is. So at the end of the day, that's just one little thing that maybe she's going to have to miss out on because of the weird subjectiveness of these goofy ass institutions and how they tend to operate. But this isn't unprecedented. I've seen it happen before. It'll happen again. Beyonce may be the last, artist that makes R&B or any kind of authentically black form of music that this happens to, because I see the Grammys reverting back to the way it used to be out of convenience, because I really don't think that these genres make the kind of quality music, in my opinion, that should get recognized by the Grammys. That's just how I see it. I'm sure a lot of other people disagree, but I think that the substance of the music has deteriorated over the past generation or two. Beyonce notwithstanding, because I don't think Beyonce is included in said deterioration, but I think that her contemporaries and the generations after her have contributed to that deterioration. And I think that that deterioration might ultimately be what ends up keeping her shut out.
Yeah, and last thing I'll say is I agree with all that, by the way. And the last thing I'll say is that you know, now it's gonna be a little weird when she does win.
Yeah.
And so that's probably, I'm pretty sure Beyonce didn't care for him saying that for real. But
Yeah.
they'll give her award, down the line on some.
Lifetime Achievement Award
Yeah,
or
on some, on some Gladys Knight, on some Aretha Franklin type vibe, and they're just
Patty LaBelle.
yeah,
Yeah.
just honoring her like that, and she'll get her, whatever type of thing. But yeah, man, teach their own. I mean, honestly, even if I was an artist, I wouldn't give a shit about the Grammys, bro.
I think
And
most of them don't. I think most of them don't care. I really
yeah,
do think most of them don't
I
care.
just, I just, but I've heard people, man, and I've never even been nominated for a Grammy. It's like, bro, you making all this garbage ass booty rap. Did WAP win a Grammy?
It may have. They give this stuff out like cotton candy at the youth fair nowadays. That's what I'm saying. So
If
like,
if WAP won a Grammy, then Beyonce should win album of the year. So
yeah,
hey man. So who
yeah.
cares about that goofy thing anyway? But yeah, that's just me.
That's a great question.
Yeah, look that up, man. Because I
Uh,
feel like they won something for that.
maybe. So what year did that song come out?
I don't know.
Um, so
20.
yeah, she's won best rap album, rap performance twice,
Who,
again
Cardi?
album. Yeah. She won
Twice?
best rap album. Yeah. Well, no. She won best rap
Oh,
album in 2019, so not twice. But
is that Bodak?
yeah,
Bodak?
yeah. She may have. I don't got time to go down the rabbit hole on
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
but they
yeah.
may. That is the kind of song that the Grammys would give an award to. So yeah, to your point, I just look at it and I say this is all a joke. Like, you know, they award the garbage, they keep making the garbage, and so what do you expect? You all of a sudden Beyonce is this esteemed person.
Mm,
I hear where Jay-Z is coming from. I just say, hey man, the Grammys, it has its own set of problems, but how about you police your own industry and just tell them to stop making trash music? I kind of feel that way.
yeah.
Um,
Hey man, he made he.
wait, so I got some intel. I
Uh,
got some intel. It said, yeah, rap wasn't submitted for Grammy consideration. She was afraid. That's from my boy. That's from my boy Marcus Dudley, man. That's the
oh,
dude I was talking about earlier today before we went on stage. Same
what
dude.
up, big
Yeah,
dog? Skr, skr.
yeah.
Jeez, man. Hey, I think that girl from the Waka Flocka segment had a WAP, right? And didn't she have a?
Well, I mean, she had a baby by Walker, so. Yeah. And shouts out to Dudley. He also left a comment on the chat. He said Adele criticized the Grammys when she won Album of the Year, and Beyonce Lemonade was snubbed. She said
Oh,
something
that's
along the
right.
lines of "What does she have to do to win?" or something like that. So,
Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
Adele spoke out on her behalf too. I just think that this stuff is goofy, honestly. That's why I stopped watching because I was like, look at these people who are clamoring for these awards. Like, I don't know. I just don't see it. But that's me, man. We'll go ahead and move on.
Word, word,
We'll
word.
go ahead and move. Good luck to Beyonce. Shouts out to Beyonce. Shouts out to Jay-Z. Hopefully, you get that Best Album Grammy at some point in short order before you ride off into the sunset.
Speaking of.